Okay, is everything okay? I hope it is. Let me just check a few things. And we should be going underway. Let's see. Okay, I think everything is good. I think you can hear me well. And let's just do this. Okay, I am going to start in just a moment. Okay. Hello everybody, my name is Kirklin and welcome to Nitrous Racing League. Today we're gonna be racing at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez circuit in Mexico. Debuted in 2015, it's actually been a pretty equal ground between the frontrunners with Red Bull and Mercedes in real life, taking 3 wins respectively for the 6 times the race has been held. The track is also made out of 17 corners, which are 6 slow speed, 5 medium speed, and 6 fast speed corners. So it has a pretty equal combination of everything for the better or worse. It also has 3 DRS zones, one on the longest straight, the start-finish straight, one after turn 3, and one after turn 11, just before the entry to the 3rd sector. So we could say that there are quite a few overtaking opportunities on track with the long straights. Sector 1 is consisting with 2 DRS straights and only 3 corners, which is a pretty difficult chicane. Next we go to Sector 2, which starts just before turn 4, and it's a very technical and very difficult part of the track, with every corner needing extra care to not overshoot or to not spin, but we'll go into more details later. And finally we have Sector 3 after turn 11 in the middle of the final DRS straight, and it's a pretty slow part of the track, but it's also the most famous because of the stadium, which is sort of circulating around the entire half of Sector 3, and it just looks magnificent. We will go into more in-depth analysis after we go on board with someone in the qualifying session. We are going to have 16 people racing today, so I hope that we have a really exciting race like we had last time in Jeddah. Speaking of Jeddah, that was a masterclass of action and accidents. If you remember, the race was won by McGinty on track, but after being involved in an incident with Superzaken and Gudromen in Ferrari and Alfa Romeo on lap 15, he was demoted to P3, still remaining on the podium. But the Mercedes duo had a 1-2 finish after that, so they lead the constructors by a mile, and Alexander is currently our championship leader. So let's see if he can retain that spot from his teammate, who is probably going to be the biggest challenge to him. And while we are doing this, we should be starting really soon. We have a 18-minute qualifying session. It's a short qualifying, and then we have a 50% race, 36 laps. 36 laps is gonna be made out of, and I think we are going to experience quite a few good things. Like I said before. Let me just check this. And everything is fine. Like I said, we are going underway, we are reading up. I think everyone's in the lobby. Actually 15 people are in the lobby, so looks like one is missing, but we are still going underway. Let me just check if my microphone is okay. And it looks like it's good. Thank you for the follow, Nitsi2705. I hope that you will enjoy today's race and commentary, and I hope that you stay with us for the entirety of the race. So, like I said, we are in Mexico. If you have only just joined, we are in Mexico. Made out of 17 corners, and we do not have rain. Mexico is actually not really that common with rain. We did have a few exceptions, of course, but not a lot. So, of course, we do have a dry qualifying session, but we do not know if in the race it will be wet, of course. But seeing that Eduardo in the Mercedes is going for mediums, and Fabi as well, we perhaps may not have a wet weather race. But I guess we will have to wait and see in due time when we come to that. But we already have a few guys going out of the pit lane. The first guy is the Red Bull of Diegos, who is the first guy out on track. Last time I don't think he had a pretty good performance. I think he was in the back. I don't really remember, so do not quote me on that. But let's see what his performance will be today. Next we have McGinty in the McLaren, just following him right behind. Our winner on track last time, but finishing P3 overall in the race because of the penalty. So let's hope that he does not get involved in any other incidents today, so he can secure another pretty good points paying position for McLaren. We already have Driadis leaving the session, so let's hope that he can rejoin as fast as possible. And yeah, we are going to be on board with Diegos for the first lap of the session, and not a lot of people are actually out on track, and half of the grid is on mediums, so that is going to be very interesting. I think that the mediums are around 7/10 slower, but I'm not really that sure. As Diegos is just starting his flying lap, this is the start-finish straight which I was talking about. It's a very long straight, so we will probably see most of the overtaking happening right here, just before turn 1. As we are going to turn 1 right now, it's a right-hander going to a left-hander, but looks like Diegos actually overshoots it and invalidates. I hope that he can stay away from McGinty, and he does. That is good, he will leave him space. Going on to the second DRS straight and into turn 4, it's a left-hander going to a right-hander instantly, so you need to really have a good line, and the exit for turn 6 right here. It's actually like a double corner, so you need to have a double apex there, but he also invalidates. Going into turn 7 right here, turn 8 is flat out, turn 9 as well. Turn 10 you need to lift off a little bit. If you touch the inside curb a little bit, you will overshoot, and the car will you will cause the car to spin. I don't really know why. Go now to the stadium section into turn 13 right here. Like I said, it's a pretty famous part of the track, as a lot of people are there. Coming out to turn 16, and turn 17 is flat out to the finish line, and he also invalidates, so he will have to set another lap time. We do of course have a lot of time left in the session, so this is not the end. But looks like quite a few people are struggling with track limits, as a lot of people have actually invalidated, with Fabi, McGinty and Diegos invalidating their laps. But Eduardo is going to be the first guy that sets a fastest lap, a 1:16.878 on mediums. That is not the best lap time, but of course it's on mediums. If he wants, he can do a run on softs later on in the session. But still, that's a pretty good time for every other driver to have a time to beat. As we have some people actually going side by side with a AlphaTauri and Red Bull. Both of them, I think, on fastest laps, or actually Diegos is not on the fastest lap, so I think that Giovanni was actually held up by the Red Bull, so let's hope that he didn't lose that much time because of that little incident. We do have a yellow flag just in front. It's, I think, McGinty going very slow, and Giovanni actually gets a pretty good line in turns 10 and 11. Goats takes the fastest lap time of 1:16.1, and Giovanni actually nearly collided with McGinty on the outside line, the apex, which is a pretty dangerous line to let someone through. as Marvin Murr actually sets the fastest lap time of the session, a 1:16.0. Now that's what we wanted to see from medium tires. That's a really, really good lap time, and it's 8 tenths faster than Eduardo in P4, the second place finisher in Jeddah. So, not looking pretty good for him, but he was probably cruising and not pushing too much. But Marvin Murr is currently our pole sitter, as we are 12 minutes remaining of the session, so we still have enough time. And let's go on board with Alexander, our winner from last week in Jeddah. Let's see what he can do and where he can place his Mercedes. He is on soft tires, so he has the advantage from Marvin Murr. So let's see by how many tenths he can snatch that pole position, or by how many tenths he can be below him, as he invalidates, as he corner cuts a little bit too much in turn 1. I mean turn 2. You can actually corner cut those corners, but not by a lot, because that's what happens. You invalidate your lap, and you really do not want that happening, because you do not have a lot of time to set a lap, even though you have 18 minutes. Like me in Jeddah in one other league, I couldn't set lap time. One, because it kept leaving me out of the session, and then I didn't really have enough time. And second, I was pushing way too much. So, for your first flying lap, I suggest do not push too much. Just put a banker lap, so you know where you can improve, where you need to improve, and that's it. And that's all you need to do on your first lap. As Patrick Sogard in Red Bull sets a lap time of a 1:17.2, puts him in P6, just in front of Ernest and behind Sepetbaz by 50 thousandths of a second, which is still good. But 6 people have not set a lap time yet, as I think Alexander is going for another fastest lap. So let's hope that he doesn't make the same mistake again that he did the previous lap. And he does not, like you saw right here. You can corner cut those, not by a lot. And he had a really, really good line off of turn 3, which was pretty impressive indeed. He locks up into turn 4. He needs to be a little bit more careful. Sets a purple sector 1, so currently the fastest guy on that part of the circuit. Going out to turn 6, and Eduardo actually sets a fastest lap time of a 1:15.4. with mediums, which are 4 laps old. Jesus Christ, that's fast. As Alexander actually overshoots, but still puts a purple sector 2. Thankfully he didn't invalidate, as he ran wide after turn 11. But now to the stadium section, turn 15, going on the inside curb a lot, not touch the sausage curb. And let's see what this time will be. A 1:14.5. The lobby actually lagged a little bit. It said a 1:12, but a 1:14.555 is still a really good lap time. And I think that his teammate Eduardo is going to be a close challenger behind. But we'll have to wait and see what they do. As Fabi actually sets the second fastest lap time, only 10 thousandths of a second slower than Alexander, a 1:14.565. So a really good qualifying position for the Alpine boy, for the Alpine driver, and that's what you want to see. Let me just check if everything is okay, if the stream is lagging, and yeah. I hope that it isn't lagging, I hope that everything is okay. Let me check. And looks like everything is okay. I hope. Yeah, everything is okay. I hope that it will remain this way for the entire race. I have some technical issues with my router, so if the stream cuts so suddenly, like if the stream ends suddenly, then my router is resetting itself. I really don't know why, but half an hour before this before today's stream, my router literally restarted itself 6 times today. Like it's insane, and we literally called the management that manages our internet, and they literally didn't have any fix. They said that everything was perfect, so I don't really know why it's resetting by itself. It's like the 15th time this week, and it's annoying. So if that happens at all in today's race or stream, I will try to get the stream up as soon as possible. Hello F1 lover, how are you doing? I hope that you enjoy today's commentary and the race, as we are currently on board with Nem, who is actually out of fuel, so he needs to go into the pit lane. Let's see who's actually on the flying lap. I think it's Gods, currently on soft tires, 1/10 off in sector 1, so currently not improving on his personal best. He is 1 second and 8/10 slower than P1, who was actually set by Giovanni, a 1:14.3, which I completely missed. So let's see what he can do, and he overshoots it and spins. Let's hope that this is not a retirement, and he nearly avoids the wall. And that's what I was saying before, you cannot touch that inside curb by too much, or the outside curb actually, by too much, because you will just cause your car to spin insanely. And thankfully Gods managed to avoid the wall, which was a really good sign. As Marvin Murr is having a second chance of stealing pole position 8/10 faster, which will put him currently in P4 if he manages to stay this way, but he actually invalidates. I do not know where or how, but that happened, and that is very unfortunate indeed. Eduardo is also on a flying lap, Alexander's teammate, and a finisher in P2 in Jeddah. Let's see what he can do, if he can retain his pace and qualifying paces as well. The Mercedes seem to have incredible qualifying pace, but in race they do well, but the safety car often manages to screw them up or screw their strategy, as Eduardo actually improves 4/10 in sector 1, going to turn 7 right now. Let's hope that he does not overshoot like Gods did, and he takes it pretty clean. And this corner you can actually take flat out, but you need to have a really precise line if you do not want to go out on track and invalidate. And that was a pretty good lap time indeed. Going to sector 3 right now, turn 13, 14 is flat out, going to 15, or actually that's 16. Takes it pretty nicely, full throttle into turn 17, and going to the finish line, and a 1:14.134 puts the fastest lap time of the session by 2/10. Almost exactly by 2/10. And that is a pretty good lap time indeed. Let's see if anyone else can snatch that pole position from him. We still have 4 minutes remaining until the end of the session, so anyone still has a lot of time to do this. The graphics are pretty good. My graphics are actually set on the lowest possible thing, because when I stream and race, or stream and commentate at the same time, it usually lags a lot, or I have a few screen freezes. So I need to put my graphic settings to the lowest possible, but it still looks amazing. But that doesn't put the game aside that it's a really stupid game with a lot of bugs. Thank you for the follow, Twitch, Jesse. I hope that you will enjoy today's stream and the commentary, and I hope that you will retain with us for the entirety of the race. Let's see who is on a flying lap. Looks like Triadis is on a flying lap, and Ernest in the Alpine. Oh, thank you, Twitch Jesse, for the sub prime. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. As Ernest set a lap time of a 1:16.977, puts him in P13. That was pretty disappointing from him. I don't think he has enough time to do another lap, so this will probably be his final position. Let's see, Drietes is currently finishing his flying lap as he goes into the pit lane. So if his pit crew is going to be any faster, he might have just enough time to do another lap, as he actually gets slowed down by an Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri going outside of the pit lane. So that's gonna lose him even more time, which is pretty scarce in these final 2 minutes of the session. Gods, I think, is on a flying lap currently, putting a purple sector 2, improving by 1/10, so currently doing pretty well for himself. Let's hope that it doesn't mess up, as he overshoots by a lot in turn 14 and hugs the sausage curb and invalidates and cuts the corner to go into the pit lane. If that was real life, you would probably be awarded a penalty, because that's a really dangerous entry to the pit lane, but this is a game. Or maybe the stewards are watching today's stream and maybe they will have a talk with Gods to not do that again, but I don't know. I don't know what they are going to do. A lot of people are now out on track with 1 minute and 40 seconds remaining, so just enough time to set one final flying lap. So let's see what everyone can do. And let's see if anyone else can snatch pole position from Eduardo, who is currently our pole sitter. As Driedes actually retires from the session, so looks like he didn't have enough time after all, as he had to retire in the pit lane. Currently at board with Super Zaken, who had a major incident last time in Jeddah in lap 15 with Lucas McGinty, who finished P3 after the penalty. So let's hope that he can keep it clean today and not go for any moves that aren't there. As he goes to the final corner right now, takes a pretty nice line, and nearly spins, as he improves only by 4 thousandths of a second. 4 tenths of a second, and a 1:15.881 puts him in P7, just behind Nem, 1/10 slower. But he doesn't have enough time to do another lap, so this is going to be have to be his place where he's going to be starting if no one else improves. So let's see if they do. Let's go on board with, I think Giovanni is on a flying lap as he hits the wall, and I don't think that's going to be an improvement, as he actually does improve by 1/10, a 1:14.1. So if he didn't hit the wall, he would be starting P1 in today's race. So that is very, very unfortunate from him. But looks like his pace is really good. So if he can retain the pace and not crash again, I think he has a pretty good chance to finish on the podium, as Alexander finishes his lap and stays P3. Just 10 thousandths of a second faster than Fabi, who has invalidated his lap, so he will stay P4 at the moment. And I think that Marvin Murr is on the flying lap, but he also invalidates. So this will be P8 for him as well. Eduardo is currently finishing his lap. Corner cuts turn 10 a little bit, but thankfully it doesn't invalidate. Faster by 1/10. So currently showing supreme pace. A Red Bull is just in front of him. I think he's gonna get a little bit of dirty air if he doesn't move himself away. And he doesn't. Let's hope that this doesn't destroy his lap, as he improves by 44 thousandths of a second, puts a lap time of a 1:14.091, puts him in P1 for today's race, and a really, really impressive P1 indeed. Joanna was really, really close today. But that hit with the wall really cost him the entire run that he had. A really, really brilliant run. So let's see if he can improve in the race. I think that Nem is on a flying lap, the only guy, but looks like he invalidated, so he's probably gonna have to go into the pit lane. And that is going to be the qualifying session over for today. And it was actually a really, really good one indeed. The front row looks really, really close, so I don't really know who will win today. And that's what is exciting for F1. And then we have Alexander, Eduardo's teammate, who actually won in Jeddah last time, starting in P3. Still a pretty good place. He can only move up from here if he doesn't crash with anyone else. Fabi in the Alpine follows him right behind, finishes the second row of the grid. Then we have the duo of the Alfa Romeos, starting P5 and P6. Next we have Subrazaken in the Ferrari and Marvin Murr in the AlphaTauri, starting on medium tires, the only guy doing that in the top 10. Then we have Lucas McGinty, our P3 finisher in Jeddah, starting in P9, so currently not a really good qualifying session from him, so maybe he messed up a lot. Let's hope that he can improve in the race and get a stellar performance just like last time. And Gods follows him right behind to finish the 5th row of the grid and finishes the top 10. All of these drivers will have to start on those tires which they set the fastest lap time on, so everyone will have to start on softs except for Murr, who will have to start on mediums, of course. And then we have Triatus, Sabitbas, Patrick, Ernest and Diegos rounding up the final 5 spots of today's grid for the Mexican Grand Prix. A really interesting qualifying session, I might add. I hope that it will be as interesting in the race as it was in qualifying. Now let's see if it will be rain, and looks like it is okay. It is fully dry, so a one-stop strategy is definitely possible. You can go safe with softs to hards, but I do think that softs to mediums is also possible if you have really good tire management. And if you do, it could be a very beneficial strategy and could gain you a lot of time. But of course, if there are going to be safety cars or virtual safety cars, that might change, as we might see a lot of people going into the pit lane for the free pit stop that the safety car provides. But I guess we'll have to wait and see if they do appear. As I've had a glitch. I had a few races in other leagues and we had no safety cars with quite a few retirements, actually a lot of retirements, so I think there's a little bit of a glitch in the game with the newest patch, but I really do not know. But we are currently on the formation lap. This is going to be the opportunity where our drivers will heat up their tires just before the beginning of the race, so they have better grip in the start. They can also heat up their brakes, so they have a pretty good braking point in turn 1, because it's a really long straight, so the brakes are going to be very cold until turn 1. So if you can heat them up a lot, you will be very beneficial after turn 1. And I'm actually really sorry if my voice sounds a little bit like dry or something like that. I'm a little bit sick, so I have to cope with that, and with streaming as well. Talking all the time, it's quite exhausting when you are sick, but it's okay, I can manage. It's not major, I just have a cold, and that's it. As we are going to the final sector right now, the final opportunity for our drivers to heat up their tires, and Eduardo and Giovanni are actually very far ahead of the grid. Eduardo needs to slow down a little bit if he doesn't want his tires to be incredibly hot in the beginning, and he doesn't do it. His tires are gonna be dead cold because he's not close to anyone else, and this is not gonna be beneficial for him in the slightest. So I think we might see overtaking opportunity from Giovanni or Alexander into turn 1, so I don't think that Eduardo will stay in P1 for much long. But I guess we'll have to wait and see, as we are waiting currently for the remainder of the grid to put their cars where they need to be, and when they do it, we will start today's race in the Mexican Grand Prix, the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. And that should be everyone, I think. I think so. There we go. And we are starting. We have 3, 4 and 5 red lights. And we are underway for the Mexican Grand Prix. Looks like Eduardo actually has a pretty good start, but Giovanni gets an even better one, as he currently has the inside line from Eduardo into turn 1, and he manages to overtake him just before. But Eduardo now has the inside line, and he might do a dive bomb as he does. But Giovanni will stay in P1 currently, as Alexander and Nem... Oh, we have a big crash behind, with Alexander and someone else behind. Touching, and Alexander is currently sideways. We see Fabi trying to go around the inside of Nem, the Alfa Romeo driver, and makes it stick. Nem has to cut the inside corner a little bit to avoid contact with the Alpine driver, but Fabi gets P3. Very, very unfortunate from the Mercedes driver of Alexander, our last time winner in Jeddah. But I guess you cannot do anything. I think he has front wing damage, or if he doesn't, he might be very, very, very lucky, but I do not know. We see a few people going for moves, and we have a yellow flag. I don't know what that is for. I think that the Drietis is slowing down a lot. I actually do not know what is happening. Looks like he has a damaged front wing and nearly collides with Alexander, but thankfully no contact was made. And looks like Alexander is actually very, very lucky, as he has full front wing intact. And we have Goods in the pit lane, and probably Drietis as well in the pit lane. And yes, they are in. So very unfortunate for the two drivers, and Alexander not currently having the best luck that he wanted, as we see that Good Roman is having a really, really good exit out of turn 3. He might try and make a move around the outside of Patrick, who is defending the inside line, and Patrick actually overshoots by a lot, and Good Roman is trying to do a switchback, and they touch a little bit, but I don't think that's going to be any damage, which is really good, as we see some people going 3 wide with Alpine, Mercedes and Red Bull fighting for P11 in today's race currently, as Alexander will have to stay behind Diego's only a little bit, as he overshoots the corner and goes around the outside and goes in P11. So currently Alexander is making a lot of grounds to make up the lost time that he had in first 3 corners. So he needs to just push all the way, do not slow down. As Eduardo puts the fastest lap time of the session, DRS is enabled this lap, as it enables on the 3rd lap. And Eduardo will have it on lap 4, because currently we do not have a detection zone before this 2nd DRS straight. And this is very, very good. Giovanni is currently leading the race, the AlphaTauri driver doing very well for his first race, I think this is. As we have a Alpine and the Red Bull driver going side by side into turn 1. Ernest goes around the outside and makes a beautiful move stick on the Red Bull driver. Looks like Diegos is not really having the race that he wanted, just like everyone else behind. So let's see if these guys can improve, as Good Roman and Patrick are still fighting for that 9th position. This is going to be 2 points if Good Roman manages to overtake. We do have a yellow flag. It's the other Alpine driver of Fabi, who was P3 after the incident with Alexander and Drietis, but he has spun just before turn 9, which is very unfortunate indeed. He will just come ahead of Alexander, who will have DRS on the start-finish straight, so maybe he will try and make a move to overtake him for P10, as he actually does overtake him even before. But this does matter, because I don't think that Alexander has DRS, and he doesn't, as Good Roman makes a move on Patrick, and let's see if Fabi will also make a move. Alexander not really defending, but not also leaving space. We have a spinner ahead, and Fabi moves up to P10, who is the first guy to have a penalty today. But a very good position for him, P10, and overtakes quite easily with the DRS, but his problem is ERS. He only has 9% already, so he's using all of it, which is not what you wanna do in Mexico, because a lot of straights are here, and you need to save a bunch of it if you want to be if you want to stay competitive. But I guess you cannot do anything about it. If you move under 20% ERS, you will have a very difficult time of getting it back. So this is not really gonna be good for him. As we have a McLaren and Mercedes and Ferrari battling for P4 in today's race, as we have a yellow flag again, a spinner, the other Alpine of Ernest. And McGinty is currently going to be in the DRS zone, but I think he is a little bit too far behind to try and make a move to P4. As Eduardo actually has overtaken Giovanni for P1, but Giovanni will not give up so easily as Eduardo defends the inside line, and he still has DRS from the start-finish straight, and he will currently remain in P1. A really good overtake made from the Mercedes driver, the second place finisher in Jeddah. But let's see by how long he can actually stay in this position, as McGinty and Superzaken are going side by side. I think Superzaken is squeezing him out of track, getting a little bit of revenge for last time, as McGinty did the same for him in Jeddah as they crashed in lap 15. So this was probably a little bit revenge, as he didn't leave a lot of space. As the lobby is lagging a little bit, I do not know why, but I hope that gets fixed in a few laps. And I think we might see an overtake happening really soon, as McGinty actually gets a pretty bad line in turn 12, as Eduardo puts the fastest lap time of a 1:17.5. Really, really impressive indeed. And I think that McGinty just missed out on the DRS, so he will have to stay P5. I don't know if he has damage. He looks like he doesn't, but he is really slow. So really interesting where he lost all of his pace, and his teammate is actually trying to overtake him. Sabitbas going around the outside, and McGinty is actually not giving that place back as they touch a little bit, and that actually gives Good Roman, the Alfa Romeo driver, a good opportunity to maybe try and make a move for that P6. Sabitbas doesn't, or he has DRS but didn't enable it, and Good Roman will stay behind just a little bit longer. He probably wants to see how these teammates will battle with each other, and then if they do battle with each other, then he can just pull away from both of them if he gets an open space to make the move. But that's really interesting. The McLaren teammates not really happy with each other, not leaving space for one another. So they need to sort this thing out if they want to secure maximum points in today's race. They are currently running P5 and P6, and this is a really good position, as Sabitbas actually tries to go around the inside as McGinty goes really deep into turn 13, but doesn't manage to do it, and he has to stay P6 as McGinty actually goes into the pit lane, and we might see what was wrong with this car. If he does change the front wing, then it was probably a front wing change. I mean front wing damage. But he doesn't change it, as Fabi and Nem actually crash with each other, and they do make contact, and Nem is backwards and has no front wing. It's a shame that I wasn't actually on board the whole way, but I did saw a mini clip. I think Fabi squeezed him a little bit too much, or moved unappropriately, and Nem didn't he didn't really know that it was coming, and they just crashed with each other. We will have to wait and see until the race is over to see what actually happened. But very unfortunate for the Alfa Romeo driver. He was running really well in P7, but I guess you can't do anything about it. You just have to move forward, and no safety cars just yet. And we've had a bunch of crashes in lap 1 and now in lap 7. Very interesting indeed. And we have a four-way fight with Alexander, Fabi, Good Roman and Sabitbas fighting for P5 in today's race. As Sabitbas actually goes into the pit lane very, very early, I might add. And let's see if Fabi will have a chance to make a move. He doesn't. Oh, I'm sorry. He doesn't have any ERS to use, and Good Roman actually has 50%, so a lot more than Fabi. So he has a lot to defend with. If only he didn't have that bad exit in turn 3, but he will stay currently. in P5 as Fabi actually does a really big dive bomb and nearly spins. Alexander moves to P6 as Fabi overtakes him. I think Alexander actually got a invalid overtake, or he would be penalized if he didn't let Fabi through, as I think he overtook under yellow flag. But that was still way too dangerous from Fabi. He was nowhere close to good Roman, and he did that dive bomb on a... That was not good. Looks like Fabi needs to sort this thing out, because this is not how you want to drive. And he actually makes contact with good Roman and makes him cut the corner. And Good Roman gets a 3-second time penalty as Good Roman has to go into the pit lane, and Alexander will now have an opportunity to make the move for P5 as Fabi is not defending, and Alexander knows that he's very, very dirty, or that he was involved in a lot of accidents, as he does a major dive bomb again on Alexander, but thankfully no contact was made there as he gets a really, really good exit into turn 3. Oh, and they touch a little bit. Oh, what is this? Fabi is driving very dangerously. And there was another contact with Alexander and Fabi. What is Fabi doing? What is this? This is going to need to be looked by the stewards. I hope they are watching, because this is not how you want to drive in a league. As he is slowing down by a lot, and I do not know why. I think he's letting Alexander through, but I really don't know what's happening right here. As there was another contact with Fabi and Alexander. Alexander has AI. I really don't know what's happening right here, but this was very, very unfortunate. Fabi will have another opportunity, but now Alexander has DRS as well, but he's not trying to defend it at all, and he will stay in P6 if Fabi doesn't make another big dive bomb, because we do not want to see that happening, as we have a three-way battle with the Red Bull, Alpine and the Mercedes driver. Let's see, Fabi trying to go around the outside, now inside. Patrick is defending the inside line. Alexander trying to go around the outside. He overshoots it, and he has to concede. Oh, Alexander actually... What was that? That was very interesting. Oh my god! Nice. I hope that the stewards are watching this. I really do hope. And he doesn't even have damage from that collision. He doesn't even have damage. That's ridiculous. While that was happening, we have another three-way fight with Diego's, Riedes and Gods just ahead of both of them, fighting for P11. So they are currently outside the points, and they are 11 seconds behind points. So not a good race from... not a good race at the moment, but maybe we will have a safety car later on, as Diego's gets a really bad line off of turn 11, and Riedes is trying to go around the inside as he overshoots the corner. And I think he will have to concede that place, as they are still going side by side into turn 13, and Riedes looks like will stay P12. But Diego's will have DRS for the start-finish straight, so let's see if he can try and make something work, as Fabi is in the pit lane, or at least his AI is in the pit lane. As Diego's is not really close to try and make a move, but if he gets a really good exit off of turn 3 into the second straight, maybe he will have an opportunity, as he gets a 3-second time penalty. And our leader Eduardo is in the pit lane, putting medium tires on his car, so doing an undercut on his rival Giovanni, which are battling for P1 in today's race. This is gonna be very interesting to see if these mediums can go until the end of the race, or if he will have to do a two-stop. But everything will be revealed soon, as both AlphaTauris are currently leading, as Giovanni is P1 and Marvin Murr is P11, who I don't think has stopped yet. And no, both of the AlphaTauris haven't stopped yet, so it will be interesting to see where both of them rejoin. I think that Murr might rejoin in P4 or P5, right in the midst of Patrick and Alexander fighting for P4. And Eduardo with this undercut I think will improve by a lot, because looks like Giovanni is losing a lot of time, as Eduardo already improved by around a second. And Giovanni follows him right behind, 1 lap after his pit stop. Let's see what tires he will put on. He will probably go on mediums as well, try to go until the end of the race. Let's see if Eduardo's undercut was successful and if he will rejoin ahead of him. Let's be on board with him. And I think he will get the DRS from the Alpine driver ahead of him, the back marker. And he actually does not. Let's see if he rejoins ahead, and just barely rejoins in front. He will currently lead after Marvin Murr makes his pit stop. We might see some team plays from AlphaTauri to see if they will hold Eduardo up, or if Marvin Murr will slow down and hold Eduardo up. But he is 5 seconds ahead, so I don't think that's gonna be a possibility. But I think that Eduardo and Giovanni will have a pretty easy time getting close to Murr, as they have fresh tires and Murr has 12 lap older tires, also mediums. I think mediums can go around 20 to 27 laps in the race, so they can definitely go until the end, I think, if they do manage them a little bit more. Giovanni has 1 lap fresher tires and is currently taking the advantage of that, as he's getting much better lines than Eduardo, and he will have the DRS for the start-finish straight. And let's see if he will attempt to make a move. He is not using any of his DRS, so I think he just wants to stay behind and try to keep up with them to catch the cars ahead, or I think Murr ahead, because that's the only guy ahead of them. But I think Giovanni will have a really good line into turn 3, and he is really close, only 4 tenths, but he will still have to stay behind by only a little bit longer. Diegos in the Red Bull and Nem are fighting for P12 in today's race. Diegos actually has a penalty, and Nem is trying to go around the outside. They touch a little bit as Diegos pushes him off track, but Nem has taken that place for himself. Even with that contact. I don't know if that was a legal overtake, but looks like everything is okay. So he will stay in that position. Next up we have McGinty and Superzaken fighting for P6 in today's race. McGinty having a penalty of 3 seconds. I just hope that they do not have major contact like they did in Jeddah. I know I'm bringing that up a lot, but that was a really major incident, and I really do not want to see that happening again today with both of these drivers. But Superzaken, if he gets a pretty good line in this 3rd sector, he will have the DRS for the next race. He does have the ERS advantage, but only by a little bit. And we have a yellow flag actually, and that is I think Drietes in Williams, who has spun in turn 8. And let's see, McGinty and Superzaken are battling with each other, going side by side. McGinty trying to defend the inside line, but turn 1 is just way too far ahead to try and defend. And Superzaken makes that move look very easy. And thankfully there was no contact. Superzaken has more DRS, and I think that he will rejoin at the moment. He will stay in pin 6 at the moment, as Giovanni actually overtook Eduardo, so our leader is battling quite hard. And we have another spin. It is Ernest, I think. And GTS actually retired from the session. He retires in the pit lane, and Giovanni is getting a very, very big slipstream from his teammate. This is what you wanna see from teammates. And now Marvin Murr has the job to try and keep Eduardo as far as possible from his teammate to extend that gap. But I don't think Murr has the opportunity to do that. He doesn't have any DRS and ERS to defend. So Marvin Murr has to just keep that place and be P3. As we have Patrick Segard in the pit lane going for hard tires, so going pretty safe for the end of the race. As Alexander and Sabetbass are fighting for P7, the other Mercedes driver who won last time in Jeddah. And it looks like he went around the outside, and that was a pretty easy overtake as well, like Superzaken and McGinty. And McGinty actually overtook Superzaken, so he's currently P5 as Patrick Zuckard went into the pit lane. So I think that everyone went into the pit lane right now, except for Murr and Diegos, as Alexander overshoots into turn 4. Let's hope that he didn't lose that much time. And I think that is good. Let's check the penalties. Giovanni has 3 seconds, Good Roman has 12, McGinty has 11, Diegos has 9, and Fabi has 12. So people are actually quite safe with penalties. We do not have a lot of people having penalties, so that is really good indeed. Let's see here. Eduardo trying to get closer to Giovanni, but he will have to stay behind. He did have a little bit of dirty air with traffic, the back markers right behind him, as Patrick Sogard has spun, I think, in the beginning of sector 3, turn 12. And Superzaken and McGinty are battling once again. Superzaken going around the inside into turn 1. McGinty trying to do a switchback, but he didn't really have the space or the room to do that. And Superzaken has the DRS again, and will stay in P5 at the moment. This is a really good battle between the McLaren and Ferrari, just like in real life. In real life it's very exciting, and here 2 times in a row in Jeddah and here a really good fight. And looks like they're keeping it way more clean than in Jeddah, so looks like McGinty learned his mistake as he nearly lost the car, managing to save it in turn 7. So very good from McGinty. A really good save. I think that Superzaken will actually have the DRS from the backmarker Ernest, so I don't think that McGinty will have an opportunity to make a move on Superzaken on this straight, so he will have to wait a little bit longer, which is very unfortunate. But he is still 8 tenths behind, so he is not that far ahead. I mean, that far behind, so everything is still okay. As Ernest is not letting the McLaren driver through, so he had to go through him. That is not how you want to do a blue flag. But at least they are through, and thankfully ghosting is on, so there was no contact made. So we are currently at the halfway point of the race, lap 18 out of 36. Currently we have Giovanni leading the race, the AlphaTauri driver making his debut today, I think, at least. And Eduardo follows him right behind in P2, and Marvin Murr, who still hasn't pit, is in P3. After he pits, Good Roman will actually be in P3, so this is gonna be a really good place for Alfa Romeo if he manages to stay there. He will probably have to pit once more, because those tires probably will not go until the end, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Next up we have Superzaken and Lucas McGinty fighting for P5 at the moment as well. Let's see if this will commence. Next up we have Alexander, who is trying to close the gap to McGinty and Superzaken. Then we have the other McLaren driver of Sabetbass, and let's not say anything for a little bit longer, as we have a battle with Superzaken and Lucas McGinty. Lucas McKinty gets a really good line after turn 3, but Super Zaken also does. McKinty has DRS, he might make a move around the inside, but Super Zaken is defending it, he's trying to go around the outside, and they don't make contact yet, and that was pretty clean. McKinty had to back away because of the sausage curb on the inside, and if you touch that curb, you'll just lose way too much time. So he just had to back away. No way that he was going to overtake that position. So like I was saying, Sabadabas, the other McLaren driver, is in P8. Then we have Gods and Patrick is the final guy in the points. And Alexander gained by a second and a half in that time that the McLaren and the Ferrari driver were battling. So I think we might have a three-way bite for P5. So this is gonna be very, very interesting indeed, as Good Roman is in the pit lane. That is actually very, very early. I don't know if he has damage or not. But Super Zaken is defending the inside line, but McGinty finds the space and manages to overtake him. And Alexander is really closing them, as he has 2-lap fresher tires than Super Zaken and 4-lap fresher tires than McGinty. But I don't think that this will be the time for an overtake, as he will have to stay behind Super Zaken, as he was way too far behind to try and make a move. So this three-way fight, I think, will continue for the rest of the lap, as I am going to count down the rest of the runners. Next we have Nem in the Alfa Romeo in P11, just outside the points. Then Fabi, Diegos and Ernest is the final guy running, and Giedis has retired from the session. Alexander trying to go around the inside into turn 12, but doesn't do it. Super Zaken actually gets a brilliant exit. And just behind them we have a battle with someone else, or actually that's a backmarker, and the McLaren, so no battles. But Super Zaken, Alexander and McGinty still battling for this position, and Alexander is in the best place, as he has more ERS than more than any driver in front of him, as McGinty defends the inside line by a lot, and they do go side by side into turn 1 and turn 2. There was a little bit of contact. Oh, and there was even more contact, as Super Zaken is sideways and Alexander is trying to make a move on McGinty and manages to do it. Goes around the outside and is P4 at the moment. Alexander having a pretty okay recovery, as he crashed in the first lap in turn 3 and managing to get P4. A really good recovery indeed. I hope that he can make even more positions as things go. As Marvin Murr actually went into the pit lane for soft tires, I completely missed that. So both AlphaTauris are in the podium places. This is a really good place for them. They will make up really solid ground to the Mercedes boys, as they are currently leading the constructors, I think by 44 points. I don't know how much AlphaTauri has points, but this will be really good if they finish like this. But Giovanni has a major job to do, as he has a 3-second time penalty and Eduardo has none. So he has to push a lot if he wants to stay in P1. He needs to have a gap of 3 seconds, so he needs to either rely on Eduardo making a mistake, or he just needs to push as much as possible to retain that gap or to extend it. As Eduardo has DRS, but of course way too far behind, 1 lap holder tires. I don't think he wants to make that move. I think that Eduardo's job right now is to just stay close to Giovanni. He doesn't even need to overtake him, he just needs to stay in the 3-second gap, just to stay in P1. As Marvin Murr sets the fastest lap time of the session, a 1:16.3 on lap 23. And at the moment, it's actually been a really good race. We also have a fight behind with Good Roman and Sabbath Bass, the other McLaren driver. And Good Roman actually has a lot of VRS to use, so this is gonna be a very easy overtake for him. And there it is, Sabbath Bass not defending at all. And that was P7. He does have a penalty though, so he needs to clear that gap, but he does have fresher tires, which can definitely go until the end of the race. And Sabbath Bass might go into the pit lane again, but I'm not really sure. The only guys I think that will go into the pit lane are McGinty, Gods, and Nem, and probably Ernest. So quite a few people, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. As Eduardo has overtaken Giovanni for P1 in today's race. And Giovanni is currently P2. He does have that 3-second time penalty, so this is not good for him. He seriously needs to rely on Eduardo making a mistake, which is gonna be very unlikely, as Eduardo is a very experienced driver and doesn't make a lot of mistakes. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens. I think that if Giovanni has a big enough gap to his teammate Marvin Murr, I think that he might go into the pit lane for fresh softs and try to steal the fastest lap of the race, because I don't think that he can overtake Eduardo, only if he makes a mistake or if he gets a penalty. So I think his best chances are to go into the pit lane the final few laps, try to steal the fastest lap, and gain one more point than he would usually when he would stay in P2. Because he seriously doesn't have a lot to lose. He just has to stay behind, see if Eduardo may make a mistake, and then just go into the pit lane if he doesn't. And that's it. That's all he has to do. And he does have the arrest, but he's nowhere close to try and make a move. Okay, let's see here. So, the most positions gained is by Marvin Murr, the AlphaTauri driver, who is also making his debut. So I think that both AlphaTauri drivers are making their debut in today's race, and they are doing a wondrous job. I have raced with Marvin Murr in a previous league, and I can say he's quite fast, and he's a really good driver. And they are doing an incredible job today, getting P2 and P3 respectively. And Eduardo will also get the arrest, so Giovanni will not have a good line or a good time to try and overtake Eduardo, and that is quite unfortunate. And the most positions lost is by Fabi, who has lost 8 positions starting from P4 in today's race. And we have a spin actually. It is Alexander, probably pushing a bit too much, which he doesn't need to do. He has a penalty of 3 seconds. Yeah, he doesn't need to push. He probably will not get close to Marvin Murr, so P4 is probably his best place to finish. So if he can just keep it clean and keep it respectful, he can just stay there, and that will give Mercedes quite good points in the constructors. But in drivers, I think he will lose, as Lucas McGinty is in the pit lane, and I think that the Ferrari driver of Super Sakura is following him right behind, and he does. Both of these drivers will go on softs, I think, and yes, they do. And Gods follows them right behind in the Haas. Oh, and has anyone heard that Haas are going to reveal their car tomorrow at 11 PM GMT? They literally said that 5 hours ago, that they are going to have a car reveal tomorrow. Like, that's incredible. I cannot wait to see what the car will look like. To be honest, I don't really like the Haas livery from 2021. I don't think it looks really good. It's an okay livery. I like how it's presented. I like how it's executed. But overall, I don't think it's a really good livery. It's like my top 7 out of the 10 liveries of 2021, or it's probably my lowest. It's probably 9th or 10th, because every other livery is literally better than this one. So I cannot wait to see what has in store. Has has in store for us tomorrow, as quite a few people have stopped Nem also pitted for fresh softs, so that is very good indeed. We have 8 laps remaining in the race, so still a lot of time for anything to happen. And yeah, at the moment this is a really good race. I am really enjoying this. A lot of battles happening and not a lot of crashes, which is really good. And I think that wait, this is actually a 5-way fight between the leaders and the stoppers who stopped for fresh softs. This is actually very interesting. They do have block flag conditions, but they do have faster tires, so this is very interesting indeed. I wonder how this will play out. Looks like Lucas McGinty will try and make a move on Eduardo, even though he is currently a backmarker. And he is trying to make a move. He is going through him to make a move, as Marvin Murr gets a 3-second time penalty again. And this is very interesting. I think that Eduardo will have to let them through, as they have faster tires, but they are only just faster because they are only faster because of the faster tires, because Eduardo and Giovanni are faster on pace. So this is actually very interesting how this will play out. I don't know how the game will react to this. If the game will give them a penalty for this, I really do not know what is going to happen. But this is very interesting indeed. I have never seen this in my life. And I think that these guys are going to try and do a fastest lap. The fastest lap currently is a 1:16.378 put by Marvin Murr. 1 second faster than the second fastest lap from Giovanni, his teammate, a 1:17.4. So pretty good. And they are actually catching Patrick. So this is actually gonna be a really good place, as McGinty overtakes Patrick for P7, and Superzaken actually overtakes him as well, as he spins into the wall. But looks like he doesn't have any damage, so he got away safely with that. Let me actually check if McGinty and Superzaken are getting penalized for this, because I seriously do not know what is happening right here. They should let them through, but I really do not know what is happening here. I think the game is as confused as I am, as McGinty and Superzaken actually make contact, as Superzaken doesn't leave as much room as McGinty needed, and he does lose a bunch of time to the cars ahead, as Superzaken overshoots into turn 4 and gets a really bad line into turn 5, so this actually gives McGinty to get closer with that incident that happened. And we do not currently have a lot of battles happening out on track, so this is probably going to be the final positions that are going to be finishing. I do still think that Giovanni will go into the pit lane to get the fastest lap, because that is going to be very beneficial for him if he wants to battle for the championship. He does have the pace. The only question is, does he want to do it? And we are still in this fight with Superzaken and McGinty, as Giovanni actually moved outside the DRS zone of Eduardo. So this is the best possible time to go into the pit lane. So this is the time you wanna go when to go into the pit lane. And if you go now, you won't lose too much time behind your teammate. You can overtake him quite easily, and maybe he can just let you through. So Giovanni, if you want to have advice, go into the pit lane, get the fastest lap, because Eduardo is not gonna make a mistake, and he will not get a penalty. Trust me. I have seen 2 races from him, and he is very consistent. As these guys are still battling, and they cannot settle to who actually needs to let who through. This is very interesting. Like I said, I've never seen this before, so this is very interesting indeed. And this is literally the only battle happening out on track at the moment. The only other is from the Eagles and Ernest, but they are still way too far behind. And Giovanni not going into the pit lane yet, so he is probably relying on that mistake. But he is losing way too much time on these backmark markers, as he's getting a lot of dirty air from these guys, as McGinty makes a double overtake on Superzaken and unlaps himself from Giovanni. So yeah, this is only bad for Giovanni, as like I said, he's getting a lot of the dirty air, and this is literally not beneficial for him. He needs to make a choice, and that choice is definitely going into the pit lane. That is what I will do. Wait a second, something is I think glitched. Oh, I think it's fixed. Okay, I think it's fixed. Okay, so Giovanni currently making overtakes and another 3-second time penalty. He is equal with his teammate, who has no, he has more. He has 9 seconds. So if he goes into the pit lane, this is just gonna be beneficial for him. But he doesn't go, and I wonder why. As we have a yellow flag, it's Ernest in the Alpine, crashing into the wall and has no front wing. Very, very unfortunate indeed. And he is, I think, 3 laps down, which is also very unfortunate indeed. As Alexander, the other Mercedes driver, gets a 3-second time penalty, and Eduardo Sabedvaz and Patrick are the only ones that don't have a penalty, and they will improve by a lot because of those penalties. We have another yellow flag. It's again Ernest trying to go into the pit lane, and let's see how this race will end. Lucas McGinty gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. So let's see here. Let's do this. So McGinty has 12 seconds of penalties. Sabbath Pass, I think, might only improve 1 position because of his teammate. So P7 and P8 I think is on the cards, or maybe P9 for Lucas McGinty, as Gods doesn't have a penalty and he is in the 11-second range, so 1 more second and he will stay in P8. So a pretty okay points main position for McLaren, but they can definitely do a bit more next time, as shown by McGinty's podium last time and win on track. And good Roman, I think we lose a lot of positions. He is only just 12 seconds now with that added penalty. He actually is going to finish P6, which is still a good position to say the least. This will give him 8 points, and this is going to be the only opportunity that Giovanni has to go into the pit lane. So now, if he doesn't go into the pit lane, this is really gonna be bad for him. And he does go, finally. He should have went way longer. I mean, way earlier. Because I don't think he's gonna manage to extend the gap from his teammate to 3 seconds in 1 lap or in 2 laps. That's mission impossible. But he is going to rejoin just ahead of him. So maybe he does have the opportunity. And he is going to try and take the fastest lap for himself. And he actually is already 4 seconds ahead. So that's pretty good indeed. So, because... wait, my thing is on the wrong place. Interval. We have battles in the back. Gods and Nem are fighting for P9, which is probably useless because Nem has a penalty. So if Gods can just stay behind him, be clean, do not have any contact, he will get P9. That is going to be 2 points to his name. And looks like that is what he is doing. He's backing away a little bit. As we are going on to the final lap of the race. Looks like Eduardo, a 1-stop was definitely beneficial for him, as he had more pace than Giovanni, who he was battling for the entire race. And we are going to go on board with Giovanni, try and see if he will do the fastest lap. Of course, this is going to be his only opportunity to do it, so let's see what he is capable of. And while that is happening, McGinty and Super Zaken are battling once again for the last time in today's race, fighting for P6. Let's see who has more penalties. McGinty has 9 more seconds, so this fight is practically useless, as they are losing time to the cars ahead. But still a really good battle. I really enjoyed their battle for the entirety of the race. And it was really entertaining. As we are on board with Eduardo, who is going now to the final 2 corners, who is going to win today's race in Mexico in the Autodromo Germano Rodriguez, and you can see that he's really happy as he wins today's race. Let's go on board with Giovanni. Can he steal the fastest lap? Going on to the final 2 corners as well, using all of his ERS, and he manages to do it by 1 second, and he finishes P2. That is going to be 19 points to his name, and it's a double podium for Alpha Tauri. Very impressive from both of them. They are debut drivers today, I think, so very good. Let's see who finishes P4. Good Roman and Alexander are actually fighting for P4 in today's race. They are the only guys that haven't finished besides Fabi. And let's see who has more penalties. And looks like Good Roman has 18 seconds, so Alexander will stay P4 and will give 12 points to Mercedes. Still very good points. And I think that Good Roman will stay P5 because I think he has a large enough gap to Super Zaken right behind, as Lucas McGinty goes to P9 after those penalties, and Good Roman does stay P5. Jesus Christ, that was actually a really good race. I really enjoyed that. And Good Roman is the game's driver of the day. I don't know who would be my driver of the day. Probably either Giovanni or Marvin Murr, as they were debutants and they had a really good race today. Really clean race as well, and we can see that Eduardo is really happy, and Giovanni is actually Brazilian, just like Eduardo, so maybe they were talking to each other in the race. So really good race from all of these 3 drivers on the podium, and congratulations again to Eduardo on the win. And this is... oh, Eduardo actually got a penalty in the final few stages. So Eduardo finishes P1, he wins in today's race in Mexico. Giovanni follows him right behind, and Murr finishes the podium place. Alexander, the other Mercedes, is P4, Good Roman is P5, Super Zaken is P6, Gots is P7, Sabbath is P8, McGinty is P9, and Nem finishes in the final point paying position for Alfa Romeo. He will get 1 point, and alongside Good Roman, who gets 10 points, so 11 points added to Alfa Romeo, which is really good. And then we have in P11 Patrick Sugar, Fabi, Ernest, Diegos, and Driedes finishing last, who has retired from today's race. And that was the race. It was a really intense race. I was really enjoying the battle with Super Zaken and McGinty battling the entire time. Give me just a second. Someone is at my door. Give me a second. I will finish the stream in just a bit. Okay, I am back. I am very sorry for that. This was the Mexican Grand Prix. I would just like to say thank you to our sponsors, Interodata. If you have enjoyed today's commentary and the race, you can follow the Twitch channel. I think there's also a link somewhere. If you want to race in our league, you can also join through there. You will join on Discord. We have PS and PC leagues. We also have a Gran Turismo league, I think, and we are moving to ACC, I think, but I'm not sure. I'm not really paying attention. But yeah, thank you to our sponsors again, and I hope that you enjoyed today's commentary and the race, and I will see you next Thursday for, let's see, for the Portuguese Grand Prix. So I hope to see you then, and stay safe.